Welcome back to Power and Politics. Former Prime Minister Joe Clark's written a new book about Canada's foreign policy and our nation's standing in the world. CBC's chief correspondent Peter Mansbridge sat down with Joe Clark today to talk about the book. It's called How We Lead. But it's also quite critical of Stephen Harper's approach to international affairs. Those two haven't always seen eye to eye, to say the least. Peter, of course, also took the chance to ask Joe Clark about the Senate scandal and the former Prime Minister. Well, he didn't hold back. Here's an excerpt of Peter Mansbridge's interview with Joe Clark.
What's really surprising now is that they are attacking their own. And it raises a very real question that comes back to the Prime Minister. If Mike Duffy has been such a problem, who appointed him? If Nigel Wright is the person they're blaming, who hired him? This is very tricky ground for the Prime Minister. And he, I think, is trapped by a process, by a use of a process that he himself created.
As unlikely as it may seem, if Stephen Harper picked up the phone and called you and said, I need your advice, what would be the single piece of advice you'd give him on what was happening right now?
Right now, I think he has to bring people into the facts. That's a careful way of saying what, and I think that
it's a careful way of saying he's not telling us the real story.
And I think he needs to tell the real story, and I think he needs to seek some advice as to what's the most effective way to do that. That's a question he should have asked a long time ago.
Let that sink into you. Bring people into the facts. That full interview with Joe Clark is now a must-watch. It will be on Mansbridge One-on-One this weekend, and those are very strong words, and they will likely make headlines. So interesting to see Joe Clark essentially saying, you better bring people into the facts, tell the whole story, and also putting their finger squarely on Stephen Harper for bringing this on himself. So fascinating. Now remember, no love lost between Joe Clark and Stephen Harper. That goes back a long way. Nonetheless, in politics, that's called a knife.